thing. If you keep knocking on, hey, what's going on, guys? It's Daniel and Kelsey here with another episode of Paving the Way. And yes, you heard me trying to figure out how to not get our dog to bark because we're knocking this thing out here on what is it? Wednesday evening. So you guys are seeing this on, if you're watching it, when it comes out, Thursday morning, 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to you. But we, Kelsey and I, if you followed our social media, you see that we were out at the Top Contractor School Inner Circle Retreat in Denver, Colorado last weekend. So we kind of want to talk about that a little bit about the theme of, the theme for this retreat was Own It. And we just want to kind of bring that to light a little bit for those of you who weren't able to attend it or don't really know what that might even mean. So that being said, let's get started. Man, I just cannot get enough of that intro video.
I wish it was louder for us.
Louder?
Yeah.
Well, I could have turned the volume up. I just thought you already knew what it was.
Well, I do, but it'd be really nice to just blast in through the room.
I've been saying we need to get speakers in this office that's all controlled by my phone, so I get to determine what we play in the office.
This is the first time I'm hearing about it. So.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you might have said it to Randy, but not to me.
No, I've told you that it's too quiet in this office.
Oh, I thought you meant for podcasts.
Anything.
Okay.
We see speakers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hook it up.
Wait, you all throughout this room?
Yeah, is anybody listening to this thing know who can actually get us some sweet speaker setups and so was it AV audio shit or something like that?
I don't freaking know.
Oh,
I'm not that inclined.
Okay, I'm not either.
Go call Eric.
We definitely Eric, if you're watching this, comment, reach out. We might need some help here. But no, like I said, guys, we were at the retreat this past weekend
in Colorado.
Every 6 months we go to the Top Contractor School Inner Circle retreats, typically held at pretty cool resorts or locations, whether it's in Florida, Vegas, Colorado, Pittsburgh. Yeah, we've been around, so we've got to go to some pretty cool places. But yeah, this last one, it was definitely a little bit of a different vibe, I feel like, than a lot of the rest of them. The summertime ones are normally a little bit more
smaller.
Yeah, a little smaller group, a little more kind of tactical type things as opposed to, big strategic ideas, motivational, whatever. That's more the wintertime ones. But this one, it was a smaller group. There's about 40 or 50 of us. But yeah, like I said, the theme was Own It, right? So own it being, own your business, your goals, your leadership, your team members, your culture, whatever it may be. The big emphasis was to just own it. This is your circus. This is your life. You need to take responsibility for it. Mm-hmm. So I guess just a little bit from your perspective, because this is your second or third one that you've actually been fully a part of, I believe.
Something like that.
So, what was just your general takeaway from it, your perspective takeaway on it?
It's hard with the summer ones, like you said, because they're smaller, but I think it gives more of an opportunity for people to speak who have been a part of TCS or have learning and just doing their time of learning everything throughout the years, to show everyone not show everyone, but teach others what you know, because you're going to take what Brian teaches you or Keith or I don't know, Ed Milet or whoever it is, and you're going to twist it a different way. And I tell you something, but you have to hear it from JJ or Miranda or whoever it is. And then you finally grasp it or it clicks for you. So I think it was kind of cool that a lot of people were given the opportunity to speak. Yeah. And to teach.
Yeah. So we had, I got to talk. I started in the morning.
Yep.
Talking on goals. Your goals are yours to achieve. Mm-hmm. So we got to talk about goal setting. And then we had Brian spoke.
Yep.
Then we had Lillian Calloway and Daniel Good talked about culture and your people. Then we had Carla speak on leadership. Mm-hmm. Well, who am I missing?
Keith.
Jr. Yep. Keith spoke. With Keith and Brian tend to speak at each of them as kind of the leaders of the organization. So we had that, and then Jay and Brian finished it up.
Correct.
So that was, like you said, it was kind of cool to get to see the members being able to get a platform to actually start teaching.
Wait, hold on. You missed the panel.
Oh, yeah. Who was on the panel?
I was on the panel.
Oh, you were on the panel.
I mean, with the whole group.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I was on there with Cisco, Garen, Brian, Bill.
Bill moderated
it.
Yeah.
Was it just us, right?
Cisco, Brian. Yep.
I feel like I'm missing something. I think that was it. Yeah.
I think so. Yep.
Which is pretty cool. But
yep.
Anyways, keep your going.
Yeah. So the panel and stuff to talk about marketing,
Mm-hmm.
marketing, branding, things like that. So it was, like you said, it was kind of neat. And it was something, I mean, I personally thanked everyone for that night was, hey, like, obviously it's not a small investment of time or money to go to these events.
Yeah.
So the fact that people were willing to listen to their peers, teach more or less what we've learned. But like you said, it could be the same thing that we've all learned, but we just had to hear someone else say it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with someone recently about it, because on my talk that I got to give, I've told a couple people, there was times where I was up there and I was like, I don't really know what I'm saying right now, but my mouth is still moving and words are coming out. And it was kind of brought to my attention. It's like, well, that's just because you literally know it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've learned enough of the information that you can subconsciously speak it. And I never really thought about it that way. Someone else told me it was probably adrenaline, where it's like you don't really think about what's going on. But nonetheless, it was a cool experience to get to do that. Pretty wild. I mean, when I walked up on stage, the first thing I said when I looked at everyone was, well, this is weird. Because normally I'm in the audience, right?
Literally, I started videotaping you and I ended it literally right after you said that.
Yep.
You walk up, look around, you're like, well, this is weird. And
Yep.
then it just cuts off.
Yep.
I'm like, well, this was a great video.
It was great. Fantastic. It's kind of set the mood for the rest of the talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was fun. What would you say, from your opinion, was one of your biggest takeaways that you could take away from the theme of owning it?
I wish I brought my notebook over because I did write one thing down. Literally one. Can I go get it?
No.
Gosh. I don't remember what I wrote, but it was good.
So you have no takeaways?
No, I do, but that's the only thing that's like going around in circles in my brain right now is, I want to look at the thing in my journal because that's what I wrote. Okay, so I mean, just from every topic.
Yeah, I mean, just like overall, like if someone were to ask you, like, how was the retreat?
I think my word that's going around my head is it was very intimate. That there's a lot of things in people's lives that are going on besides business right now, that good or bad, but people have got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
So that's besides teaching stuff, just in general. So coming from that event, that's what I would say. But as for teaching wise or what I gained from that, I wrote it in my journal and I can't really pop it in my head right
now. I agree with you. I think whenever anyone's asked me the last couple of days how it was, that was kind of the first thing that came to mind. Like it was a little heavier. I know I've talked about it on the podcast here this year about just how it's a weird year, in a lot of industries and a lot of locations. It's not showing favoritism to any certain area or any certain industry by any means.
No, not at all.
And I think this retreat was a good one for people to kind of get some of that stuff off their chest. A lot of people opened up about just some struggles, whether it's, mental or emotional or financial or leadership, whatever it may be, that's just been a challenge this year.
Yeah.
And I think it was really good for people to know that, hey, they're not the only ones going through the shit.
You're not alone.
Right? Yeah. Which is so bizarre because that group, the Top Contractor School group, I mean, it is, we get on calls every week, every Wednesday, but yet people still have that reservation to actually open up or to actually reach out until you're face to face.
Well, someone said something over the weekend about that. And I think it was more on the lines of maybe it took them this long or this many years to actually be able to open up like that.
Like just like to get it to be comfortable enough, like
Yes.
with the people in the group. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, we all have a lot of pride. We all have we have egos. We have things like that where we don't, we just want to tell people, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's good.
Everything's great.
Everything's good.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Oh, living the dream.
Yeah.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah.
But yet everything's burned down around them. But yet people don't want to actually just talk about it. Not saying it has to be this massive like therapy session, but at least just to tell people the truth and just be like, yeah, man, this year's been hard as shit. It's been a challenge. And it was, I don't think I talked to one person there who didn't say that this year was just very difficult in a lot of ways. There's people who've lost family members that were close to them, friends that were close to them, so even in their personal lives, it was challenging. It's not just business. There's people who are having high turnover rates for employees and staff in the group, revenue, being down substantially, whatever it may be. And it was just kind of a bizarre weekend that was even though it was heavy, I feel like it was still very refreshing because the conversations were had.
I think it was very real.
Yeah.
That was Jessica's word.
Yep.
Was real. And it was. I mean, people were being honest or bringing up, like you said, not be a therapy session, but I mean,
yeah, we're
in that hole together, at least talk about it a little bit. But I felt like it was more real topics, more real life.
Yeah.
Just real.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it was real. I think it was open. It was honest. As far as the education side goes, I don't think there was necessarily a ton of like earth-shattering information shared.
I agree.
But like you said, originally there were things shared from perspectives that haven't been shared before. Right. So it's the same things that we've learned, just said in different ways. That it sounds like there was a lot of things that resonated with different people from different speakers. So on that note, when you said you were on the panel for marketing and branding and stuff, just to kind of give people who weren't there, obviously, a little bit of like insight. So some of the stuff you guys were talking about on the panel was, how has it been, or has kind of impacted you and or the business by actually putting yourself out there on social media, kind of developing a little bit of a personal brand with the company brand? I mean, what's your opinion on that and how it affects the business on a day-to-day basis?
I think I said the same thing. It's hard to see the ROI with doing this kind of stuff sometimes. To me, a lot of the ROI is the culture aspect within the company. So we try to do a lot with our team, the guys out on the crew, some people, the girls in the office, the guys in the office. I feel like if I was within a team, I'd want to be a part of that too. Like show everyone what we're doing, be a part of it. Like, look how much fun we have or don't have fun.
It's a grind.
It's a grind. But I think it helps a lot with like building your culture, having them take like ownership, core value. Sorry. Take ownership in what they're doing, but also recruitment. I think that's a big ROI.
Yeah.
Or return, obviously ROI, but just for the company is what I see.
Well, we've talked about that in our team meetings. Is, when we're doing the social media stuff, like that's why we have somebody who works here full time to do our media management, media and marketing management. Randy started out just with the media stuff and he's progressing into doing the marketing and digital things like that. But we explained to everyone, like, look, we're not just putting cameras out here just to try and look cool. It's because, like, at the end of the day, I want you to feel proud of what you're doing. I want you to be sitting at home in the evening and see us post a video and it's you getting highlighted, or you can show your family, like, yeah, this is what I do every day. But like you said, the recruiting aspect, I mean, Mo came to us through our Instagram page, was literally sitting at home one day, scrolling Instagram, happened to see our page show up and was like, oh, those look like cool people.
It looks like fun.
Yeah, it looked like fun. It looked like it's an interesting work, never done that before.
But I think with a lot of the stuff that we post, we show different phases or different things that are going on in the job. So I don't really think it's misleading within, I guess a lot of social media could be like imposter syndrome kind of thing. No, what am I saying? Basically, like what you see is not really what it is.
Smoke and mirrors.
Thank you. That's the word.
Yes. Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke
Yeah,
and
where it's all
mirrors.
just a highlight reel and everything, looks perfect, and then all of a sudden, you get in behind the closed doors and it's a shit show.
Yeah, which I mean, we have our shit show, but we do. Every company, every person has something that's going on. But I feel like for the most part, we broadcast like what they do in the job correctly, like how the guys interact with each other, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, no company is perfect. No
Correct.
culture is perfect. Yes, there's that side. And obviously we're not sitting out here just, posting all the crap. But I mean, hell, we have used social media to post when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's a reality of things. If you have companies out there that are just only posting all the perfect stuff, it's like, okay, what happens when we pull the curtain back? And that's just what people want to see. They want to see the stuff that goes wrong, but then they also want to see how you fix it.
Yeah.
And take care of it. But no, what?
Sorry, I said imposter syndrome. It's just fucking mirrors.
Yeah.
I'm like imposter. Well, it kind of is. But
your brain, I swear, can't keep track of it.
I know.
Can't keep track. You'd lose it if it wasn't attached to you. But no, I think the recruiting aspect of social media and branding is definitely big. And I also like the side of it that our clients and our contractors, like our vendors, actually get to see who we are too. There's one vendor that we use. I know somebody who works in the in like the accounting department. She's the one who sends us the statements and things like that. Like, she's always watching our stuff. Like, we're friends on Facebook. So like, she likes our personal life as well as our business life. Every time we post something business, she's on it. And it's just seeing little things like that, and that kind of interaction from your vendors helps also build trust.
Yeah.
Right. Because how many vendors get burned by contractors that, oh yeah, we're the newest company in town. We're big, we're great, we're this or that. And the next thing you know, they're not paying bills, or you can't get a hold of them, or they just fell off the face of the earth. If we have a social media presence that's constant, that's real, that's raw, then that's going to naturally just build trust with our vendors, with our clients, with our other contractors we work with.
Yeah.
So it's not just necessarily the recruiting of team members in the company, it's recruiting of vendors to work with as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, because without the vendors supplying us, we can't do anything. And you want to have those good relationships with the vendors, because that's where it starts. Beyond there is no team. There is no client. There is no service. So what were you going to say? I
was going to say it just builds trust too.
Yeah.
So it puts a face to a name. So JJ calls them and they've seen all our social media. It's like, oh, I know you. I know what you guys do out there. I know how that works. Yep. So even with the guys on the crew, or if they're taking pictures and videos of Megan and Kate, like, who they talk to on the phone. So.
Yep. Yeah. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
So that way you know who it is. So no, I think that side of it is fantastic. Just putting ourselves out there. It's been something that we receive a lot of compliments on our social media, on our digital presence, our website, YouTube, whatever it is. But it's just because we want people to see who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
I've always been big about operating a transparent company and making sure that there is no curtain to pull back.
Yeah.
And
teaching too, educate the clients, educate people in general of what the services are. And I mean, what is it? JJ's tips, or what is?
Yeah. I mean, he always gives little tips of the day or different things like that. Like, I was just watching one recently that we posted about, the wand on a seal coating hose, how it swivels, and how to use that feature to not get sealer on concrete or on bollards and things like where it shouldn't go. And I was telling you, I was like, some of these things I feel like are so simple, but yet to the new contractor who's watching our stuff, which there's a lot of them out there that reach out to us, say, man, like, I'm just starting my business, or I'm just doing this. Like, those little tips and tricks are going to help you just continue to develop authority in your space. And I want to be known as a company that, even if a competitor is talking, if we get brought up with a competitor and a client and they're like, oh yeah, we're talking at Proline, I want them to sit and say like, oh, like, those are good guys. Like, they know what they're doing. They're good people. They're honest, whatever it is. Right. And I feel like that's the reputation we have. I mean, I'm sure there's people who don't like us. If you don't like us, let me know. I love having conversations with people who don't like us. It's fun. Please drop a comment, actually, if you don't like us. It's even better.
You can talk to him.
Yeah. I'd be happy to talk with you. It's fun. But But no, I want to have that reputation, that, hey, those are good people. They're a good crew. They're honest. They try to help. That's something that I've always been big about. If I learn something and I can pass that along to another contractor, then I want to provide that as much as possible.
Yeah.
So, but going back to the original topic, getting on social media and putting yourself out there and branding and marketing is what allows that opportunity to take place.
Correct.
So
just do it.
Yeah, just turn the damn phone around if that's what it takes. I mean, that's what I did for years.
Yeah.
Is just literally take selfie videos and explain to people what I was doing, why it mattered and whatnot. So it's a pretty fun part of it. I like doing it. I love seeing the guys on it and the girls that we get to highlight, in whatever way that we're doing it. It's a lot of fun. So, but then the other thing that took place this weekend too was with Top Contractor School. They're in the process of building out the Top Contractor School women's group, right? Yes. So tell everybody just a little bit about kind of what that is and why I'm bringing it up right now, because you're associated with it.
Yes, I am associated with it. So, TCS Women is a group that was recently started. And a group of us are going to be the founders of it. So they kind of just go on podcasts, meet with different women at the group or the meetups, things like that. And I guess kind of discuss, there's a lot of different aspects to it. So
it's just getting off the ground.
Yes.
Right. So it's just getting off the ground. So it's kind of more introductory type stuff, talking about how people are involved in their businesses, their spouses.
Yes. So it's mainly women so like I said, the different founders of TCS Women. Either you work with your spouse, you don't have a spouse, you used to have a spouse that worked with you. You're just a woman in construction. So, it's just very, very different of each person's experience within construction or within business. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, each person can teach you different things or lean on you for different things. But mainly what I take out of it is that me and you work together in construction. I'm new to this, was not in the construction field, but I can talk to someone else maybe who wasn't in construction, now is going into it, maybe working with their spouse, and I can be that person they can lean on or get advice from. So, like I said, but Sandra, who doesn't have a spouse in construction, worked in a different field as well, but she's high up in her company and she might have some crazy other advice that you might have. So it's great having those different people with experiences, I guess what I'm trying to say. So what I get out of it is that I can help out with someone who's in the same situation or close to it.
No, and I think it's great. So the skinny of it is all of the founding members of the TCS Women's were awarded nice plaques for being a founding member.
Yeah.
So that, for me personally, that was pretty cool to see you being recognized as part of a group that in a group that I've been a part of for many years. And so it's just kind of neat to kind of still continue to be establishing relationships, establishing our place somewhere as a couple, right? I'm not on a board or anything like that in TCS, but I feel like I've kind of been around long enough that I have a lot of conversations with the founders, with the leaders and things like that, to just kind of give my perspective. Whether or not they ask for it, I still give it. But that's one thing they love about me. At least that's what I tell myself. But no, it's fun doing that. Being a founding member of something, I think is pretty cool, because you get to have a lot of the say in the direction it goes. And like we said, it's still just getting off the ground. But I think from what I've understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, the big goal of it is to give a place for women in construction and contracting in general. Correct. To have a place to kind of talk to people, like you said, whether it's a spouse of a business owner, maybe the husband he runs the business and the wife, she's the spouse. Maybe she takes care of the kids, or she has her own career, or whatever it may be outside of construction, but she doesn't really know how to relate. Yeah. Like that was something that I know you were big on talking about, was like, there's a lot of things that even this as a spouse you deal with, having a husband who's running a contracting or construction company that's not like most other marriages, or relationships.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see where that goes. I think, next January, we're going to have the kickoff, the luncheon for the TCS women's. So that's going to be something that we're going to probably try and get a good group of ladies to kind of be hosting it. But it sounds like there's also going to be some of the males present to give some perspective there. And like, it's just something cool to be building out the community.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to make it just, I know it's called TCS Women, but it's not just for women. So it's just anyone really that can relate, I guess, is what we're not saying just because you're a man you can't be a part of it. If you want to join and be a part of it, then cool.
Well, yeah, that's what the TCS group is part of. Correct. Right? You would join Top Contractor School, but then within Top Contractor School there's an area, a room for women to be able to have conversations that just don't apply. Now, yeah, because you say, well, where's TCS men's? It's like, well, unfortunately, it's kind of like the normal contractor is the male, the normal one. Like, that's the most common. So if you look around, if you go to a TCS event or any sort of a contracting event, the majority of your demographics there is males. So they have a lot of other guys already there. And that's just kind of a natural thing. But we want to have it to where women have a place to come to, because there's times where, talk like male and female talking about the same type of industry, like there's divides. And it's good to learn from the other side of it, right? Especially men to learn about the women's perspective. But nonetheless, it just gives a place for people to belong, to help grow the group, grow the network. Because like we were talking about earlier, with the hard years that everybody has or has had this year, there's nothing more important than having a network of support. We talk about it all the time that some of our best friends aren't even here in North Carolina. Like, some of the people that we talk and have deeper conversations with are across the country. Yeah. And that's a common thing. That's not just Daniel and Kelsey being dysfunctional humans. That's literally like our entire group has made comments like that in Top Contract School, that they have friends where they live that they have a good time with. They go golfing, go on the lake, have beers, whatever, but never actually have like the real conversations that we have at some of these retreats, or even that we have on phone calls with people from this group. And so it's just giving that place for people to belong, So this probably sounds like a freaking pitch for Top Contractor School, but it's one of those things. I mean, if I'm being honest about it, I go through phases. I'm like, man, like, is this for me? Like, do I belong here? Like, am I fitting in? Is this beneficial? Whatever it is. And then it's like, you go to these retreats or you have that one conversation. You're like, damn, like, this is what it's for, and it's not even necessarily like for yourself. It's, you got to have a conversation to help somebody else. And then you just got to really impact their life. And it's, whether it's Top Contractor School or any of the different associations that are out there, it's just finding that network and getting involved in it. So, and that was, like we said earlier, this retreat, we got to have some of us got to speak on stage. They, for some reason, asked me to talk about goals and goal setting, which anybody who knows me know that's not one of my strengths, but it's something that I also understand is important. Yes. So that was pretty cool to get to do that, to get to speak in front of everyone. Talk about it. Talk about imposter syndrome. I mean, that's something I think I even talk about while on stage, right? Is like, no matter how good you are at something or how well prepared you are, there's always going to be that little feeling of, I'm not quite good enough. I'm a company who has 15 people on our team, but yet one of the newer guys in the group, Kenny, he's got 100 people on his team. And I'm up there giving a dang presentation on how to be a leader and setting goals and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, like, there are people way more qualified than myself. But like we also talked about, being a student of this stuff for so long, you have value to provide. And all it takes sometimes is that one person to say it a certain way that just clicks, and you finally get it. You finally take action on it. And that's all that I hoped for. And that's something, Brian Beckner, I gave him a little shout out at sometime in my spiel, that I was having a conversation with him the night before, and he was kind of asked, "Oh, are you nervous?" But I was like, "Yeah, a little bit." I said, "It's either going to go really good or really bad, like one or the other. It's not going to be mediocre. It's going to be a shit show or fantastic." And he's like, "Well," he said, "in my past life, when I did a lot of consulting and things like that, I did a lot of speaking." And he said, "I had a coach that told me, if you're nervous when giving any sort of a presentation, it's because you're doing it for yourself. Yeah. if you're genuinely up there to provide value, you should not be nervous about anything because it's genuinely from your heart to try and help.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be nervous about. And so like when he said that on Friday night, I was like, man, I've never really thought about it that way. I know I've talked, said before, like, I'll say like a little prayer before I'm in front of people or giving any sort of a meeting or presentation, for God to just kind of use me as the voice for what he has to say. So that definitely takes some of the weight off of talking because it's trying to kind of take that off of me.
Yeah.
Same kind of concept. Like, I'm not doing this for me. Like, I want to be used by God for the good of the people. So that definitely helped, but no, I think it went good overall. I don't think it was, complete crash and burn by any means.
I don't think it was crash and burn.
Like I've said, though, there was times where it's like, whether it's the adrenaline took over or, just the subconscious mind took over, where I was saying shit and words just kept coming out of my mouth. And didn't know.
What's that movie, with Leo DiCaprio?
Wolf of Wall
Street,
yeah.
Where he like completely takes the little pills that were like really old, and then he like, I don't know. Basically, it shows one story than what really happened. I don't know. That just reminded me of it when he did that. So squirrel, I'm telling you.
Definitely didn't take any pills before I gave a presentation. Appreciate that comparison.
Video what really happened?
This just went off the freaking rails.
I'm telling you, that's just where my brain went. Was that? That's just what happened.
I'm glad to know that you're comparing me to a person who took some sort of psychedelic pills and had no idea what happened.
All right, well, moving on.
Gosh. Oh my goodness gracious.
Well, we'll get the footage and we'll see what actually happened.
Well, that is the plan. So the goal will be to get that presentation and be able to post it on here, so that way you guys can kind of get a little glimpse on what kind of stuff we talk about.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So
no psychedelics included in that speech.
No, we can stop bringing that up. Actually, definitely not relevant to anything we're speaking about right now.
It does in my brain. Oh my gosh! All right,
jeez.
Sorry, squirrel.
She may be the total boss, but it's still my podcast. So next topic.
I already said next.
So
see, total boss.
Anyways, nonetheless, I think it was a good reminder for everybody to take ownership. Right. To own your shit, to own your business, your life, your relationships, your health, whatever it may be. Like, there's just all sorts of different topics covered to really remind and encourage people to just take ownership of their life.
Yeah.
I think too often we find ourselves as a victim of our life, and we get into that victim mentality. And as a mentor of mine, Andy Frisella, says, there is no nobility in victimhood. There is only nobility in overcoming. So the more that you have challenges, the more that you are required to overcome. Otherwise, you will just fall prey to whatever the world throws at you. So that's really all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, like I said, on the topic of red, white, and you, the whole thing is, obviously it's Independence Day. This is going out. But the you part is, you have a responsibility to take complete ownership of your life, your business, your relationships, whatever it may be. It all comes back to you. So if you're not getting the results that you want, it is 99% chances it's because of something you did. So my advice is always take account of your last 90 days of your life and see what that looks like. What does your calendar look like? What do your priorities look like? What do your habits look like? What do your conversations and relationships look like? Take full inventory of your life for the last 90 days to see what you're getting now, because what you're getting now is a byproduct of those 90 days. So that's all I got for today. I think we're going to wrap this thing up, get on out of here.
I'm hungry.
And come on back next week. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a great 4th of July. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and kick some ass. We'll see you next week.